Sir, can two people really love each other and still be forced apart by the people they trust the most? I mean, what happens when the person you love isn't someone your family approves of? What if everyone around you keeps telling you that the relationship is wrong, that it will ruin your future, that you should walk away before you get hurt? And what if deep down you know that this person is the only one who truly understands you? Is love still worth fighting for when the entire world seems to be standing against it? Or is walking away sometimes the only way to protect the person you love? I've always wondered why some relationships become forbidden in the first place. Is it because the love is wrong, or because people are afraid of something they don't understand? And sir, here's the question that scares me the most. What if two people spend their entire lives believing they had to let each other go, only to discover years later that the reason they were separated was based on a secret neither of them ever knew?
That's where the real story begins. You see, forbidden love isn't always about two people doing something wrong. Sometimes it's about two people finding something real at a time when the world around them isn't ready to accept it. Families may object because they're afraid of the future. Friends may warn you because they don't want to see you get hurt. Society may create rules about who belongs with whom, what kind of relationship is acceptable, and what kind of life a person is supposed to live. But here's the part most people don't understand. Love itself doesn't automatically make a decision right. Real love has to survive something stronger than attraction. It has to survive fear, distance, disagreement, responsibility, and time. If two people truly care about each other, they don't simply say, "We'll fight the whole world." They ask a harder question. Can we build a life together without destroying everything around us? That's the difference between obsession and genuine love. Obsession says, "I need you no matter what." Real love says, "I want you, but I also want you to be safe, respected, and free to choose." And sometimes the most painful part of a forbidden relationship isn't the separation itself. It's not knowing why you were separated. Imagine spending years believing that your family hated the person you loved, only to discover that your family wasn't telling you the truth. Imagine finding an old letter hidden inside a box, a letter written years ago by someone who disappeared from your life. And imagine reading just one sentence that changes everything you believed about your past. That's when love stops being just a love story and becomes a mystery. Because maybe the relationship wasn't forbidden for the reason you thought. Maybe someone had a secret. Maybe someone was protecting a reputation. Maybe someone made a decision for two young people who were never given the chance to make their own choice. And when that truth finally comes to light, the question won't be, do they still love each other? The real question will be, after everything they've lost, do they still have the courage to find each other again? That's where our story truly begins.
Sir, if the truth was hidden from them for years, then who actually separated them? And why would someone go so far just to keep two people apart? Because I keep thinking about that letter you mentioned. What if the girl finds it years later, opens it with shaking hands, and discovers that the boys she believed had abandoned her never actually chose to leave? What if he had been waiting for her all those years, believing that she was the one who walked away? Wouldn't that mean their entire heartbreak was built on a lie? And sir, there's something even more frightening. What if the person who created that lie was someone they both trusted? How do you forgive someone who stole years of your life and made you believe that the person you loved didn't care about you? And if the two of them finally meet again after all those years, should they go back to the love they lost? Or should they accept that some doors are meant to stay closed?
That's the question that changes everything. Because sometimes, the greatest enemy of love isn't hatred. It's a lie that looks like the truth. Years ago, before either of them understood how complicated life could become, they had promised each other something simple. No matter what happened, they would never disappear without explaining why. But promises are easy to make when life is peaceful. They become much harder when fear enters the room. The girl believed the boy had left because she received a message telling her that he had chosen another life. The boy, at the same time, received a completely different message telling him that the girl no longer wanted anything to do with him. Neither of them knew that the messages had been written by someone else. And that person wasn't a stranger. It was someone who knew both families, someone who believed that separating them was the only way to protect a secret that had been buried for years. Then, one rainy evening, the girl returned to her childhood home after her mother's funeral.
While cleaning an old storage room, she found a small wooden box hidden beneath a pile of forgotten photographs. Inside the box was an envelope with her name written on it. There was no date, no return address, just her name. She opened it, expecting another painful memory from the past. Instead, she found the truth she had been waiting for without even knowing it. The letter was from the boy, but it wasn't the letter he had supposedly sent years ago. It was the letter he had written on the night he disappeared. In it, he had written that he never wanted to leave her. He had written that someone had threatened his family and told him that if he tried to contact her again, something terrible would happen. He had promised that one day, when the danger was gone, he would come back. But he never did. And the girl suddenly realized something terrifying. He hadn't abandoned her. He had been forced away. Her hands began to shake as she reached the final page. There was only one sentence left. It said, "If she ever reads this, tell her I waited." But the letter didn't explain who had threatened him. It didn't explain why. And it didn't explain why her own family had kept the letter hidden for all those years. That's when the story took another turn, because behind the wooden box, hidden inside the wall, she discovered a second envelope. This one wasn't addressed to her. It was addressed to her mother, and written across the front were 4 words that made her heart stop. "You promised you'd never tell." Now she had a choice. She could close the box, put the past back where she found it, and continue living the life everyone expected from her. Or she could open the second envelope and discover the secret that had destroyed the love of 2 people before they were old enough to understand what was happening. She opened it, and what she read inside wasn't a story about 2 lovers. It was a story about 2 families, an old betrayal, and a promise that had been kept for nearly 20 years. But the biggest mystery was still waiting for her, because the final name written at the bottom of that letter was the name of the one person she had trusted more than anyone else. And suddenly, the question wasn't whether her old love had been true. The question was whether the person standing beside her today had been lying to her all along.
Sir, after everything she has discovered, I have to ask the hardest question of all. If she finally learns who created the lie, who separated the 2 people who loved each other, and why her own family kept the truth hidden for so many years, what happens next? Does she forgive them? Does she go looking for the man she once loved? And what if he has already moved on with his life? What if the years have changed both of them so much that the love they remember no longer exists in the same way? Sir, if they finally stand face to face after all those lost years, should they try to rebuild the love they lost? Or should they simply thank each other for what they once meant and walk away? Maybe that's the real test of forbidden love. Not whether 2 people can find each other again, but whether they can forgive the past without allowing it to destroy their future.
You're right. That is the real test. Because finding the truth is only the beginning. Deciding what to do with that truth is much harder. The girl stared at the name at the bottom of the letter, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. It was the name of the person she had trusted for years, her mother's closest friend, the woman who had always told her that the boy had never been good enough for her. But the truth was finally exposed. Years earlier, that woman had discovered that the 2 families were connected by an old betrayal. She believed that if the young couple married, the secret would eventually come out and destroy both families. So she created 2 false messages, one for the girl and one for the boy. She made each of them believe that the other had chosen to leave. She thought she was protecting everyone, but she never understood the price of her decision. She didn't just separate 2 people, she stole years that could never be returned. The girl was angry. She wanted to scream. She wanted to blame everyone. But then she remembered something important. If she allowed anger to control her now, she would become another prisoner of the same past that had already taken so much from her. So she made a decision. She wouldn't destroy anyone. She wouldn't seek revenge. She would simply find the truth from the one person who had been missing from her life for all those years. She found his name through an old photograph. Then she found an address. Her hands trembled as she stood outside his house. She almost turned around. Then the door opened. He looked at her for several seconds without saying a word. Neither of them knew what to say. 20 years of questions stood between them. Finally, she held out the old letter. He looked at it and immediately understood. His eyes filled with tears. He whispered, "You actually found it."
She asked him the question she had carried inside her for half her life. Why didn't you come back? He told her that he had tried, more than once, but every attempt had been stopped by the same lie. Eventually, he believed she had chosen to forget him, so he forced himself to move forward. He built a career, he built a life, but he never truly forgot the girl who had once made him believe that love could be simple. Then she asked him something even harder. Do you still love me? He looked at her and said, I don't know if the people we were 20 years ago still exist, but I know that I never stopped caring about you. And that answer changed everything. Because real love isn't always about pretending nothing happened. Sometimes it's about accepting that time changed you, pain changed you, and life moved forward. They didn't promise to become the young couple they once were. They didn't pretend that 20 lost years could magically disappear. Instead, they chose something more honest. They decided to get to know each other again, not as the teenagers they remembered, but as the adults they had become. The family secret was finally revealed. The people responsible admitted what they had done. There was anger, there were tears, and there were apologies. But forgiveness didn't happen overnight, and that's important. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying that what happened was okay. It means refusing to let someone else's mistake control the rest of your life. In the end, the girl understood the deepest truth about forbidden love. Love is not proven by how loudly you fight against the world. It is proven by honesty, respect, patience, and the courage to let another person choose freely. Sometimes love means staying. Sometimes it means walking away. And sometimes, after years of separation, love gives two people one final chance, not to return to the past, but to create a future that belongs to them. The greatest mystery was never why their love was forbidden. The greatest mystery was how something that had been buried for 20 years could still survive. And perhaps that is the lesson their story leaves behind. People can lie, families can interfere, time can create distance, and life can change everything. But if love is real, it doesn't demand that you destroy your life for it. It asks you to face the truth, make your own choice, and have the courage to live with that choice. Their story didn't end with a perfect fairy tale promise. It ended with something more meaningful. Two people who had once lost each other finally had the freedom to choose each other again. And this time, nobody else was making the decision for them.